Hi guys, my name is Christine and today I'm discussing some more things that I learned from Jim Rohn. And basically these are something that I learned from a lecture that he did. Quite similar to the other video that I made about Jim Rohn if you have watched that one as well. If you haven't, it's going to be up here in the cards. So basically I'm going to go through what he believes the 5 major pieces to the life puzzle. So basically these are things that he believed to be 5 great ways of kind of like mindset of living that can get you kind of like the life that you want. And I think we all need to learn new ideas and discover, the best ways to do things, or at least ways to do things that are really simple. And that's what I really like about these 5 pieces, these 5 missing puzzle pieces, shall we say, because it really is like no nonsense kind of stuff, and it seems like things that have been tried and true that do actually really work out if you stick to them. So let's get into the first one. So the first one is your personal philosophy. So your personal philosophy can be about loads of different things. It could be your philosophy about health. It could be your personal philosophy about money. It could be your personal philosophy about success. It could be your personal philosophy about family. Like there's loads of different things. So basically what you believe, your beliefs, your personal philosophy about certain areas of your life will determine basically the trajectory of those areas. So obviously if you have a great philosophy about money, then at some point you're probably going to be really wealthy and financially independent. If you have a great philosophy about health, you're probably going to be really healthy, fit, and probably live a long life. If you have a good mindset towards these certain areas. So basically you kind of got to look at what your philosophy is in life about, these major parts of your life. What is your philosophy around friends? What is your philosophy around family? Because there's some people out there that have the philosophy of, oh, the phone works both ways. I hear a lot of people in my life say that kind of thing. And it's like, well, that's not really a great philosophy to have because, if you really want to have a deep connection with someone, my personal philosophy is you got to put in the work. Like if you have a friend, it's your job, it's your responsibility to keep that friendship. If you're always relying on everyone else to keep the relationships going and you don't put any responsibility whatsoever on yourself, and you have that kind of mindset of the phone works both ways, then of course you're going to end up very lonely. Sometimes you do need to put in the effort first in order to see the results. And if you're the one that's doing that, if you're the one that's taking responsibility for all of the relationships in your life, then most of the time those relationships will work out really well. I'm not saying that all relationships will work out well if you do put in the effort, because sometimes you can't really help what the other people are going to do. Some people are just not meant to be in your life. Some people will not put in the effort when you've put in the effort. But most of the time, I think if you put in the effort, the other person will start putting in effort too once they realize that, hey, this person is putting me as a priority. Because, it's kind of a rare quality to have that kind of connection with people and to have that kind of philosophy. So if you have that philosophy, then that's going to really work out for you. So it's about having different philosophy. So what are the main, basically, areas of your life that you need a good philosophy in, right? Obviously, if you're someone who's like self-employed or you're trying to start a business or something like that, then you've got to have a really good positive positive beliefs about your work and about work ethic and about self-discipline and things like that. So it's all about your personal philosophy. So the second major piece to life is your attitude. Now this is obviously a really, really big one as well. Kind of reminds me of the song, it's not what you do, it's the way that you do it. That's what gets results. So if you have a good attitude in pretty much every aspect of your life that is important to you, and you're kind of positive, you have good expectation, you're not angry or passive aggressive, or basically just have a stinky attitude towards things, then generally you're going to have a pretty good, decent relationship with whatever thing that may be. Whether it's with people, whether it's with money, you got to have the right attitude. You have to have the right attitude. Because if you've got a negative attitude, or you've just got a bad attitude and you're really arrogant, there's loads of different ways you can have a bad attitude. Now, obviously, there's some things, we can't really get out of ourselves. We're always going to be a little bit arrogant sometimes. We're always going to be a bit mad sometimes. You can't really get rid of those things. But it depends on, it's kind of like the 80-20 rule. Like if you have a good attitude, at least 80% of the time, things should work out really well for you. So having the right attitude is also really, really crucial to life and to different areas of your life. Like, you've got to have a good attitude at work. Like, I think we've all had an experience where we've had some kind of boss or supervisor that's just had a really bad attitude, and it just makes everyone else feel really bad, and it makes you hate your job and things like that. We've all had some kind of experience like that in our lives. Whereas if you come across a boss that has a good attitude and is really positive, they may be firm with you, but at least they're fair and they have a good attitude, then the work environment is usually a really good place to be in, and you enjoy yourself, and work doesn't feel as bad because you have a good leader, you have a good boss, you have a boss and a leader with a good attitude. So you have to realize attitude is it's so important, and it depends so much on your personal happiness and the people in your family's happiness, the people that you work with, their happiness. If you have a good attitude, then I feel like a lot of life becomes easier because you just have the right attitude. And because if you're negative all the time, and if you're in a bad mood all the time, and you're treating people harshly, you're not doing yourself favors, and you're definitely not doing anyone else any favors. So always strive to have a really good attitude. So the next puzzle that Jim Rohn talks about is action. So obviously this is a huge one. You have to plant the seed in order for the tree to grow. Basically, you need to work on the things that you want to work on. You need to take action. Now, of course, depending on your attitude and your philosophy, then obviously it depends on how much that's going to depend a lot on how much you enjoy your action. So it's always good to, whenever you start something, to have the right attitude. Otherwise, if you're got a bad attitude and you start taking action, then obviously the fruits are not going to be that great. But if you've got a good attitude and you've got a great personal philosophy, then your action that you take with that kind of mindset is going to be really, really good. And it's going to be enjoyable, and you're going to have fun. Now, it doesn't mean you have to enjoy and have fun all the time. Sometimes life is a little bit of a grind, and you do need to kind of keep working at things for a long time in order to start seeing results. Sometimes things happen quickly, but other times, and most times, I personally think things take a lot of time, and you need to put in the reps, you need to do the repetitions, you need to keep on working at it basically in order to start seeing results. You do need to give things a little bit of time. But the important thing is that you do take action, and most of the time, like again, the 80-20 rule, 80% of the time you've got the right attitude, you're taking the right actions, and you've got the right philosophy. So action is also really, really important. And that's just made me think, it's really good that actually Jim Rohn speaks about these things in this order, because I think philosophy, your personal philosophy about certain things needs to be right, And if you've got the right philosophy, then it's more likely that you're going to have the right attitude. And if you've got the right philosophy and the right attitude, you're going to take the right actions. Or at least the actions, because sometimes you don't know if the actions that you're doing are right. And sometimes it takes time to actually see the fruits of your labors grow. So, obviously, those kinds of things, it does take a bit of time to sometimes see if you are taking the right action. But usually if you've got the right philosophy about it, and if you've got the right attitude towards it, you are taking the right kinds of actions. And a quote that I got from that section, from when he's talking about that, is he says to do what you can and do the best that you can. And if you're always doing what you can and you're doing the best that you can, then of course whatever you are doing is the right thing for you, as long as you're doing those two things. You're doing what you can and doing the best you can. So the next major puzzle is results. And there's a great quote that he says about this, and that is about results, and that is making measurable progress in reasonable time. So this is all about tracking your progress, because sometimes you're not going to see, like I said, massive results. But what you will see, if you track your habits and track what you're doing, tracking your progress, you will see improvement. Sure, there might be some dips here and there, but generally you're going to see improvement. If you read a page a day, you're going to get better with your education. You're going to get better with your self-education. Especially if you read a page a day in the field that you want to be a professional in. Like if you want to be really good with money, then you'll probably read something about money every day, And if it is, as long as you continue to do that, you are going to get better. And sometimes it may not seem like that, right? Just reading something about money for a week, you're probably not going to see astronomical results. But if you keep on reading about money or whatever it may be, then you're going to get better over time. Like it may take a few months before you start seeing some kind of difference in what you know about money, but it takes time. Like you don't just get things instantly most of the time. Like sometimes it does take a lot of time to see these results. But if you're tracking your progress and you're kind of keeping note on basically how well you're doing, even if it's just a mental note, you should be able to see like you're actually doing better. But you've got to give yourself a reasonable amount of time to be able to measure that progress. Like one day is probably not a good marker for exercise. If you've exercised for one day, you're not going to see results in one day. You're going to see results in like perhaps like a few months down the line, or in a year or so, depending on how intense your workouts are and how intense your diet has changed, right? You're not going to see results instantly with those kinds of things. It's going to be something measurable that you're going to be able to see over the months. And I think that works for most things. And I think you should treat most things with that kind of mindset, like it's going to take a few months, at least a few months to see any kind of progress in whatever area it may be. And if you treat everything like that, it's going to be really fun when you do get those little surprises where things do happen a bit more faster and you're like, wow, I can't believe that just happened. That's incredible. You have to kind of treat it like that. You have to take things slow. And that also means you don't have to make huge progress straight away. Remember what he says. He says making measurable progress in reasonable time, not making massive results in very little time. Measurable results in reasonable time. And the last major puzzle to life is fashioning yourself a good lifestyle. So your lifestyle. So lifestyle is like loads of different things. It's basically how you are living all of your life. So it's to do with how much you work. It depends on how much you play. It depends on, your exercise, what you eat. Like it depends on pretty much everything, your lifestyle. And basically what you need to do is you need to fashion yourself a lifestyle that you're happy with, that works well for you. And the story is going to be different for everybody. What works for me might not necessarily work for you, and vice versa. So you need to find, you have to kind of look at your life and think, how would I ideally like to be living? How would I like to be working? Because, you have some people out there that are like, you know what, I just want to lay on the beach and do nothing. Now, there might be some people that could easily do that, just stay on the beach all day. But I think most people still like to do it. So if you have like a couple of months where you're just laying on the beach, eventually you're going to start getting a bit uncomfortable. You're going to start getting a bit itchy. You're going to want to start doing something. So I don't think it's a good idea to be completely idle. Like I think it's a good idea maybe to have a good amount of time where you can relax, obviously, but you also need to put in some kind of work somewhere. But the good thing is that you can think about, well, how ideally would I like to be working? Like what would I like to be doing? And then kind of thinking like, okay, well, I'd like to work this amount of hours and I'd like to be working on this specific thing because this specific thing is something I'm really passionate about. But I would also like to have this kind of time off. I'd also like to be doing this kind of thing with my family. Thinking about those kinds of things and thinking, how can I get there? How can I get myself to that point where I can actually do that kind of thing? And it might be the case that you might already be able to do that, which is great. But I think most people are at a stage where they kind of, they have dreams of what they would like to be and do and have, but they're not necessarily there quite yet. So you need to come up with a plan to actually do that. And of course, those are things that you need to kind of sort out with your actions. But basically, this kind of thing, these whole 5 major pieces to the life puzzle kind of all comes back around. You think about your lifestyle and then you think, okay, well, I need to have the right philosophy about this kind of thing. Like I need to have certain beliefs about this kind of thing. I also need to have the right attitude towards this sort of thing, because if I have a bad attitude about it, I'm not probably going to take any action. And then of course you take action and you think about what action steps you need to take to have that lifestyle. And then you start getting measurable results within reasonable time. And then, maybe it comes to a point where you, hang on a minute, I need to maybe tweak my lifestyle a little bit. And perhaps I need to do some things a little bit differently. And it kind of all comes full circle. So those are the 5 major pieces to the life puzzle that I got from Jim Rohn in one of his lectures. I found it really, really useful, and I think it's a no-nonsense way to, figuring out how to correctly do things in life. Obviously, there are many ways that you can do it, but I think this is a good kind of foundation that is really good to start on. They're no nonsense, they make sense, it sounds true at least, and it seems like the right kind of thing you should be thinking about, and it's at least that's what it felt like to me anyway. So please let me know your favorite of these 5 major pieces to the life puzzle. I personally really like attitude and having the right attitude towards, as many aspects of your life as possible, because I think if you've got the right attitude, a lot of other things do fall into place. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then please leave a like on it. And if you haven't already, then please subscribe, as that really does help my channel out. Thank you so much, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye, guys.